Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Amy. Today I'm going to be doing my bullet journal setup for August, and it's going to take a while, so once we get started I'll speed it up and put some music behind it and maybe talk through a few things later, but I'm going to just speed it up so it's not, an hour or two long video. But I just want to explain really quick what I'll be doing. I cut these images out on my Cricut. They came from like a free PicArt site and all the images were free for personal use. So I cut them out on my Cricut and I'm going to be using them as silhouettes. For this month, I decided this month's theme would be sunset silhouettes, which I thought would be really fun. So I'm going to be using a black pen for some things, be pasting these silhouettes in, and then using all my distress inks for some fun sunsets. So I'm going to be kind of figuring out as I go, but as I said, I'll speed it up so you can see the process and then maybe highlight a few things afterwards with a voiceover if I need to explain anything. But I hope you enjoy this, and let's get started. I've already sketched out everything with pencil so that it's quick and easy to do in this video for you all. So you kind of see an image of what it might look like, except it's going to look totally different because I'm using ink, those distress inks, I'm using pen, I'm using these silhouettes that I cut out on my Cricut. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'm using my distress inks first and checking in with where the silhouette's gonna sit for how far I want the yellow color to go up. It doesn't look like much at first, but you have to trust the process. It takes a little bit to blend it all, and it looks so cool once everything's completed and you pull that tape up. But it definitely doesn't look like much on any of this distressing portions while it's in progress. So you'll have to just wait and see how it turns out. Here I'm going to use some double-sided tape on the silhouette, and I prefer the AdTech Crafters tape, which I get off of Amazon, but there are a lot of different brands out there that you could use. For the pen, I'm using a Micron pen, and it's an 08 tip, and then the brush pen I'm using is a Pigma Brush Pen. Here I decide to go in and start adding a little bit more ink just to blend things out, and then I wanted to put some stars in the sky. I tried to at first use my white pen from Archer and Olive, and it's a paint pen, and so it didn't work as well because it started to blend with the distress inks. So instead I grabbed a Uniball Signo white pen and used that to go over what I had just done with the Archer and Olive one. All right, over here I'm getting started on the cover page for the month, so it's going to say Hello August, but again I'm taping off the edges and getting ready to do a full distress ink page. I wanted each page to look different even if I was using distress inks, so I chose some slightly different colors. See, there's no blues in there, and I got a purple as well. And I'm making it, instead of all the way around at the top with the black, I'm kind of making it off to the side. Here I realized that I had two issues going on. One was that the text was getting covered up by the dark colors, so I wanted to write that in right away. And then I added another purple in because I wanted to have some better blending, and that purple was really dark and I had some troubles. So I kind of started making it up as I went to try to make kind of like a cloudy look, but I did get all the pen ink in there first so that I wouldn't lose what I had done. And so I started making these clouds. You can see I put that purple across the sky, and I'm kind of putting some other things across the sky as we go to try to make it a little bit more blended with some of the peach up above and all those different things. So in the end, I think it actually turns out really cool looking, but it's a mess right now. Here I wanted to use the Seattle city skyline because I'm from Seattle and I just thought it was a cool skyline to use since we're staying at home for all of August. So I started to use that. There were some tiny pieces that didn't work with the crafter's tape, so I also used my tacky glue, which just comes in a little pen form, and it's really nice to use on those tiny little spots. But I think overall this page turned out really well. This next page is my mood tracker, and since I'm going to be filling it in each day, I don't have distress inks for this one. I'll be using some pens every day instead to fill out the mood tracker. So here I wanted to make sure that I had my trees at the bottom, and then I used a circle stencil to create the sun, and colored that in because that's not part of the mood tracker itself. And then just put down this right away, and I needed to then make some lines. So I did all of this in pencil because I wanted exactly 31 little segments, I guess you could say, because there are 31 days in August. So I was kind of eyeballing this. You could probably do it a lot more exactly, but I didn't want to measure it out and calculate it. So I just made sure that there were 31 different segments and then started coloring them in with ink. Not every segment's the same size or shape, but that's okay. Of course, I needed numbers on this, so I started putting in all the numbers for each day of the month, and then I filled out the bottom section and chose the color of pens that I'd be using for the various mood tracker segments. It won't look like a total sunset, you know, because it won't follow the exact pattern of a sunset, but I tried to choose the colors that would work for the sunset. So my categories this month are really, really happy, meh, a little bit sad, frustrated, and then I don't know mood. And so all these colors I chose and think they kind of look sunsetty, so we'll see what it looks like at the end of the month. The next page is my habit tracker, and this one took a long time to make. It was the longest one to figure out because I made little scenes and then had the 31 days around the outside of it. So you'll see in a second how intensive it was, but it was really fun to make, and I tried to pick out different colors for each of the sunset scenes. Here I'm just lining up my different silhouettes to make sure I have them with the habits that I wanted to track, and I'm making sure I keep the habits that I'm tracking written down, or else I'll forget. So I cover up each stenciled area with the stencil because that's the easiest way to get the distress ink in there without getting it on the rest of the page. So this distress ink one was pretty hard to make. I discovered quickly that my sponge for mixing was really hard to manipulate with such a small circle. So I changed that up for the other future circles, but I made it work, and I think this one turned out pretty well too. For this one, I used a little makeup brush. I bought a set of these a while ago when I was first getting into distress inks, and I haven't used them too much, but this was the perfect size for this tiny little circle. So I'm really glad I have them. It worked really well, and I think this one turned out really well because I used that Signo Uniball pen and made a little moon that I think looks really cool, and some stars. This one was the hardest to create, but my favorite. It is a sailboat scene on the ocean, so I wanted to have the ocean's edge on it, so I created just a blue at the bottom and then created a sunset using the side edge of the sponge and kind of mixed the colors in like that. And then after I finished the top, I came back in on the blue on the bottom and used the same colors on the top to kind of create that reflection underneath. So I think it turned out really, really cool, and it's my absolute favorite out of all the different distress inks of the August trackers. See, that just looks so good. Anyways, this last one is one that I tried to put the ink off to the side, and I'm not sure the colors worked out as well. I wanted green in there because this was like a tree, a cactus scene, I mean, and I quickly realized it wasn't working all the way, so I added some peach in there, and it worked out, I think, but wasn't my favorite out of all of them. I just think those look so cool. But anyways, that's not done because obviously there's no habit trackers. So I found a circle that was the right size and kind of sketched out how big I thought everything would be. And then again, just like the other side, I needed to eyeball how many lines I needed to make 31 spaces. And this was a little different because I wanted to put what habit it was right at the top of each one, and that would take up some of the space. So every single one was a little bit differently spaced, but I mean, I worked it out, and not everything's exactly equal in size, but it does the trick and serves its purpose. So the 4 habits that I'm tracking this month are steps, stretching, meditation, and a water intake. My goal is 80 ounces of water a day minimum. And so I'll just mark off using the same colors as on the left with whatever habits I actually do in that day. So I'll fill this out at the end of the day every night so that I can fill in my mood and my habits for that day. And again, these aren't even at all. I was just eyeballing them, but it serves its purpose, and it allows me to track my habits in a fun, decorative, creative way, which is exactly what I wanted. The next page is my August step tracker, and for this one I decided to do a little word art using just some Tombow dual brush pens and doing a big like block letter August, so that was really fun to create. And then just a simple step tracker underneath where I'll mark the amount of steps that I take in a day, kind of like on a graph. I have a goal of 7,000 steps every day. Some days I hit it, some days I go way over, so it's cool to see the averaging out of what I do. Here I was just picking out some sunset type colors and making a sun in the sky, and then just kind of coming out from there with a sunset like it would be on the horizon. And I thought it was too complicated to try to draw the actual horizon with land or something like that, so I just did the sun. And it didn't blend as well as I wanted to on this paper. I've found really good luck with blending these brush pens on like watercolor paper, but not so much here. So if anyone has ideas on that, would love to hear them. I don't use them that often, so I'm sure there are many tricks that I didn't try. But the last time I used water on it, it bled through these pages, so I checked right there to make sure it wasn't, and then went over with the same colors again to try to blend it a little bit more. And I really like how it turned out. I do wish it had blended a little bit more, but I think it's still really fun and a different way of doing a sunset sky than all the distress ink that I had throughout the rest of this month. All right, then this next page is my August sleep tracker, and I just kept it really, really simple. I had done a lot of decorations at this point, and I just wanted to get done. So I used the same sunset colors as the other page and just followed this pattern to write out sleep tracker with the colors so that the pages kind of matched. Once I finished that, I decided that top little section seemed really empty. So all I did was just add some lines here in like a stripe pattern just for a little bit of decoration. And I think it turned out pretty cute. It is totally different than any of the stuff on the other pages, but that's okay. This bullet journal is for me to be creative, and that's what it was. All right, now that we've finished everything on my really dirty desk that I still need to clean from all that distress ink, let's go ahead and look at all the pages of this month. So this is the quote page and the cover page. This was really, really fun to make. I think these are the prettiest of the pages, probably. But I also really love how this turned out. And I can't wait to see what this one looks like when it's all completed. So we've got the mood tracker, the habit tracker, and then the step tracker and the sleep tracker. And that's it. I don't do weekly pages in here because I have my planners and things. I have 3 different planners that I track other things and my daily schedule and all of that in. So you can check out my other videos to see how I use those. But I really like how this all turned out. I'm really happy with it. All right, let me know what you think in the comments, and be sure that you hit that like button and hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye.